Hey guys, Black Market PokeShill here, bringing you another video today. Today's video we are going to be ranking the top 10 Mew cards of the modern era. That's from 2014 to 2026. I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. Just talking man to man, or if there's any girls that watch these videos, any little bit of support helps. Just watching a few minutes of the video, commenting, liking, subscribing. I really appreciate all of that. You guys, it's awesome. The views that I do get. It's so much fun. I love making these top 10 or ranking videos of different cards because it gets me to learn some cards that I never knew about. And even today, I found a card that I didn't know about, and I got a play off of it. So it's pretty neat. Maybe I'll talk about it a little bit later at the end of the video. But for now, what I want you guys to remember is that we're doing a 50 subscriber giveaway. We're at 17 subscribers. Whenever we hit 50 subscribers, no matter where you are in North America, I will send you this Melmetal Black Kyurem EX box. It's the Black Friday one. It's got 4 Twilight and 4 Surging Sparks in it. We'll be giving that away once I hit 50 subscribers. And remember, a couple videos back, I opened up one of the boxes to showcase what's inside of it, and I also said we'd give away the hits. And we have the Slack Off illustration rare and the Milotic EX full art that will also go away or go out for the 50 subscriber giveaway, guys. So that is that with the giveaway. I appreciate you guys liking, commenting, and subscribing. And without further ado, let's get started with ranking the best Mew cards of the modern era. So here we go. Yes, top 10 Mew cards ranked modern era 2014 to 2026. Number 1 is insane. The best Mew cards ever. Okay, guys, so Mew's a pretty popular Pokemon, and let us go. So, first, on the top 10 Mew cards of the modern era, I have the. Oh, actually, I guess I should go in, and I think I've said this in other videos, but usually I am just looking for cards that are at least above $20 raw, or they are expensive in a PSA 10. So some of the cards that might not have made the cut just because they're too common of a card or not expensive enough a card for me to place on this list. So yeah, that's kind of the criteria, is that they're at least $20 to $50 raw, or a few $100s to $1,000 in a PSA 10. So that's how I kind of make the criteria. But this is number 10, the Mew from Galarian Gallery Crown Zenith set that was released on January 20th, 2023. Now, I have two of these cards. I've pulled two of these cards, and they're really nice in person. But really, again, if you've watched any of my videos, I'm not a huge kind of like cutesy type of guy for Pokemon cards. I like that more action cards, which I know for Mew is, you don't really get much of the action type cards for Mew. It's more of a cutesy Pokemon, and that's what the type of collectors it attracts. But here for the Galarian Gallery, even though I have two of these cards, I'm not a huge fan of it. That's why I placed it um, number 10 on the list at the bottom. But the pull rate for this card is the Galarian Gallery has its own pull rates and different rarities. But it's about 101 and 150 to pull this card raw. Just a couple days ago, you could buy it $55 to $64, and now the lowest listed on TCG Player is $65. The PSA 10 will set you back $315 to $400 on eBay, and that gives you about a 7x PSA 10 multiple. And just for you guys, if you're wondering what a PSA 10 multiple is, you just take how much it is in raw and how much it is in and however many times it takes to get to the PSA 10, that's the multiple. So if 400 divided by 60, that's the multiple, or how much money really is the difference, not the difference, but the multiple between the two. So hope that helps, not confused you more. But the population report of this card is almost 7,000 and a 10 out of 22,485 graded. The gem rate is 31%, which is a relatively low gem rate for the Sword and Shield era. But there's currently 132 of these cards listed on TCG Player, and there was in the last 3 months about 752 of these cards sold. So next up is the Mew number 53 out of 108 from XY Evolutions. XY Evolutions was a base set reprint with different arts, and it was released in November of 2016. Now this is just a normal holo rare Mew card, and holo rares in XY Evolutions are 1 in 4, although there's a lot of different holo rares, so it's not just like you pull 1 in 4 packs, you pull this Mew card, but there's a lot of holos. But yeah, it's a fairly common card to pull, and that's why it's $13 to $29 raw on TCG Player, and right now the lowest listed if you wanted to buy this card over there is $20. PSA 10 on eBay last sold for $2,500, and at the end of 2025 this card was selling for around $1,000. So in the last few months this card has spiked hard in a PSA 10 all the way up to $2,500. So I would look for the raw variants of this card to start to go up in price too, as you know, when the PSA 10 price goes up. So the raw card is because the people want to sell, try to take a chance of getting a PSA 10 because of the immense amounts of profits that you can make getting this card. But that gives you a PSA 10 multiple of 40x, so a huge PSA 10 multiple, and that is because the gem rate on this card is only 3%, making the population report out of 8,600 graded, only 276 of these cards exist in a PSA 10. So they have a very, very low pop, and that's what it's like for those XY era cards. A lot of them have a rare pop and will become expensive because of the low supply. All we need is a little bit of demand to pop up, and boom, these cards just skyrocket. Currently on TCG Player, there's 64 listed with 110 sold in the last 3 months. Now, this is number 10 on my list. It kind of reminds me of the or number 9 on the list. It kind of reminds me of the Sleeping Mew card. But and it's just another cutesy card, not too much going on. It's a pretty card, it's a beautiful card, but again, not one of my favorite cards on this list, and that's why I've ranked it at number 9. Now moving on to number 8 is the Mew XY promo number 192. Now this XY promo is from the Magirna Mythical Collection box, which on eBay, if you wanted to buy the box, is somewhere between $450 and $550, and that box includes 2 XY Evolutions, 1 Steam Siege, 1 Fates Collide, and 1 Breakthrough pack. So there's quite a bit of value in those packs, and that's why the box is fairly expensive. Plus, raw, this card will set you back about $60 to $70 a couple months ago, but now the lowest listed is $150, $190, and $200. So this card also has spiked up raw a lot in the last few months. The PSA 10 will set you back $2,550 on eBay. With the that makes the PSA 10 multiple 39x. Again, the population report for this card is quite low, 257 in a 10 out of almost 900 cards graded. The gem rate is 30%, relatively low again, an older card. And currently on TCG Player, there's only 3 near mint cards of this on there, with 16 of these cards sold in the last 3 months. And that's why this card has spiked up in value so much, because the supply is so low, and that's why you'll see a lot of these cards have spiked up in price a lot recently. So this is number 8 on my list, counting down. So Mew, again, so it's a cool looking card, but just not my favorite. The artwork is good, it looks like kind of out in space or in the woods or something. It's kind of hard to tell, but again, not one of my favorite Mew cards on this list. Next, we have the Shining Mew Hollow. This is from Shining Legends, and Shining Legends was released on November 10, 2017. This is number 7 on the countdown, and so, anyways, in Shining Legends, the pull rate for this card is 1 in 15 for any shiny, and there's a bunch of shining, so but it's a relatively common card to pull. But again, Shining Legends now is getting near 10 years old, and that's why this card raw is getting up to like $150. Again, this card has also spiked up in price recently. They used to be able to buy it a couple months ago for $75, and now it last sold as $150. The PSA 10 multiple for this card is 8 to X times, making it around $700 to $750. Population report for a Sun and Moon era card is actually fairly high. It's 3,221 graded in a 10 with 10,721 total graded, giving you another gem rate of around 30%. Current quantity on TCG Player is 10, and the last sold in 3 months is 58. That was number 7. Moving on to number 6 is the Mew EX Promo XY 126. This is a promo card from the Generations SPC, or Super Premium Collection box, the Mew and Mewtwo box. Last sold on eBay for that box is $2,150 on eBay for the Generations SPC. Fairly expensive, and that's why this card is also expensive. So there is on TCG Player not very many of these listed, only 3 near mint copies. Last sold was 150 to 190, and the 3 copies are 190, 300, and then there's 1 copy listed for $1,900 on TCG Player. PSA 10 last sold on eBay was $6,500. And the lowest listed, there's only 1 card listed on eBay, and the person is taking advantage of that, listing it for 25,000 big ones. But if you go by the last sold, the PSA 10 multiple is 11x. But when you're the only one on the market, you can try to dictate the market and see what people will be willing to pay for it. And the reason why this card goes for so much in a PSA 10 is because there is only 77 of them in existence. Out of the 1,509 cards graded with PSA. That gives you an astonishingly low gem rate of 5%. And like I said, there's just 3 near mint copies on TCG Player, and 14 of them have sold in the last 3 months. Moving on to number 5 is the Mew Hollow promo from the Sun and Moon 215. This card comes from the Hidden Fates pin collection, the Mew edition. Hidden Fates released on August the 23rd, 2019, so we're coming up to 7 years old almost here. This card, it's interesting. It barely made the cut in terms of the price range, but it has spiked up in a PSA 10 recently in value over the last couple months. Raw, it's $15 to $20. Lowest listed is $27 on TCG Player. But PSA 10 in the last 2 months sold for $1,100 or $1,200. In February, this card was selling for $550. So with the current PSA 10 pricing, the multiple is 57 times. So when I was looking and doing research for this video, I found this card in a CGC 10, Mint 10, Gem Mint 10, and it was $118. It's the only one on eBay. There's no PSA 10s on eBay at all that I can find, only 9s. So for $118, I bought it. That's one thing. I've taken a little risk, but in doing research for this video, sometimes you get lucky and you find stuff like that. But I'll keep you guys updated on what happens with that. I might crack it. I might just relist it and sell it. Because again, it's a pretty neat card. A little bit more action-y card for Mew cards, and so I do like it, but it's probably not something that I really want to keep in my collection. But it was a spur-of-the-moment buy to see if I can, make a quick flip by either cracking it and resubmitting it to PSA 10 or just flipping it on eBay in a CGC Gem Mint 10. So that's this card is number 5. So the population report for PSA 10 is 197 out of 1272, giving a gem rate of 8%. The current quantity on TCG Player is 10-year mints with 107 sold in the last 3 months. Moving on to top 4. Number 4 is Mew EX. It's the SVP 53 promo from the 151 UPC. It was released on October 2023. The UPC has spiked up a lot in price recently and now is selling for around $1,000. So as that UPC goes, so does the price of this Mew promo card. The price raw is about $80, but I would expect to see that to go up even more as the UPC goes up, because less and less people are going to be opening up these UPCs if it's worth $1,000 or more dollars. Less people will be opening it up, and so these cards, the population of these cards will be staying stagnant. So right now the raw price is $80 with a PSA 10 somewhere around $800-ish dollars, and giving you a PSA 10 multiple around 10x. There's 10,382 of these cards in a 10 out of 53,000 of them graded. So fairly high population report, but a low gem rate of 20%. That's why you have the PSA 10 multiple of 10x. Current quantity on TCG Player is 139 with 1,216 of these cards sold in the last 3 months. And this card, pretty neat card. I don't know why the Mew cards that are promos always seem to be the best cards, but so far the best cards that I can find with Mew is the promos. So here we are, a little actiony card flying over the city. People looking up at Mew. It's a good looking card, and that's why I placed it at number 4. Number 3, breaking into the top 3, is the Mew EX Special Illustration Rare number 232 out of 91 from Paldean Fates, otherwise known as the Bubble Mew. Lots of people know about the Bubble Mew these days, but yes, Paldean Fates was released on January 26, 2024. The pull rate of this card for a specific illustration rare is 1 in 465. The raw price of this card is somewhere between $650 to $730. That was last week. Now, again, the market is crazy. It's around $800, lowest listed on TCG Player. The PSA 10 for this card is about $2,200 on eBay, giving you around a 3x PSA 10 multiple for this card. There's 15,311 graded in a 10, with almost 43,000 of these cards graded. That gives it a gem rate of 36%. And on TCG Player, there's currently 38 listed with 145 sold in the last 3 months. Now, this card, it hits pretty hard. Part of the reason why I like it is the hype. You know, you get sucked into the hype. I never own this card, I don't really care to own this card. I'm not attracted to this card. But in terms of Mew cards, this is one of the better looking cards. Shinji Kanda did the artwork in this card, or not Shinji Kanda, a different artist, sorry, my bad. And, you know, the fact you got the other Pokemon in the background, the Diglets, the Odysseys, the Rattata, Bellsprout, Poliwag, those cards, it's always cool when you see other Pokemon in the background. The artwork's rather simplistic, and maybe that's why people are attracted to it, but it just doesn't quite do it for me in terms of the simplicity of the artwork for this card, but it does crack the top 3 for me. Number 2 is the Mew VMAX alternate art number 269 out of 264. This card, probably most people know, is from Fusion Strike, and Fusion Strike was released on November the 12th of 2021. Pull rate for this card is about 1 in 540, with the raw price of this card around $185, with the PSA 10 setting you back about $420, giving you a PSA 10 multiple of 2.27x, or 2.27x. And the population report is about 7,511 in a 10, with almost 12,000 total graded. The gem rate is fairly high, 64%, and that's why the PSA 10 multiple is so low. The current quantity on TCG Player is 37, with 50 sold in the last 3 months. Now, I think the reason why this cracks into the top two cards for me is because of everything going on. The colors mixing around, the pink, the purple, the red, really mashes together good, and it kind of just shows a little bit of chaos and the innocent, like chaotic charm of Mew, and I like that. Just there's a lot going on, and it's just a very attractive looking card, and for that I have put it at number 2. So now you're all probably wondering what card is number 1. All 3 of you that are still watching this video. If you are, by the way, still watching this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And tell me if I messed up. Tell me if there's any cards that I missed. But without further ado, here comes the number 1 Mew card of the modern era, in my humble opinion, is the Mew Full Art Promo, the XY 110. It's from the Generation set, the Mew Mythical Collection box, which sets you guys back around $600 to $700. Raw, it's about $75 a few weeks ago, but now lowest listed on TCG Player is $120. And a PSA 10 is around $3,100 last sold on eBay. That gives you a PSA 10 multiple of 40x. And one of the reasons why this card is so valuable in a PSA 10 is because there is only 160 of them in the entire world in a 10 out of the 3,500 graded, giving you a gem rate of about 4%. There's 17 on TCG Player that are near mint condition, with 61 sold in the last 3 months. Now, why is this my favorite card? The colors of this card are just vibrant. It pops. It may be more of a cutesy card, not so much of an action card, but and with the rainbow in the background, what this card reminds me of is like Noah stepping off the ark after the flood type of thing. Like, this card is just astoundingly beautiful. I do not own this card, but I think I will be adding this card to my collection. And if the PSA 10 wasn't so expensive, I'd be adding that. But maybe I'll buy one of those Mew Mythical Collection boxes or something. But this card is beautiful. And that's why I placed it as the number 1 Mew card of the modern era. Tell me what you think, guys. What's your number 1? What's your favorite card? Don't forget to subscribe if you want to be part of the 50 subscriber giveaway. And that's all. Like, comment, subscribe. Black Market Poke Shill out.